mute your microphones. And once, if anybody of you would like to join in the session or to ask any questions, you can unmute and then talk inside and then mute again, because we're trying to reduce the background noises during this session. Again, thank you very much for joining us. I collected some questions and some topics from members of our group, our WhatsApp group, regarding the volleyball and the situation now and other stuff. And I invited Mr. Herpai and Mr. Bradbury Guy to talk to us about these topics, to give their opinions. I hope that those topics are not too much fetched out or are not discreet and cannot be talked about, but again, they will give us their opinion as possible. And if anybody else has something to add to it or to ask or to get involved, please, again, it's an open discussion. Feel free. We are all friends, nothing official, but just to fill the time. And I felt the need of referees to talk about volleyball topics, about refereeing topics. We want to stay in current and to stay fit, if not in practice, but in theory. So I would start, first of all, because I'm the host and it's my privilege to ask the first question. I would like to ask Mr. Herpai Laszlo. A couple of days ago, you had a presentation and a meeting with coaches, Israeli coaches, and some members from also from Europe or around the world. I would like to ask your experience of this meeting. Do you think it was it productive and successful, or do you feel that it was just informative but will not help too much in the future? Give us your opinion or your feelings about this meeting, please.
To start is always the worst thing. So hello, everybody. It's my pleasure to be here with you. Regarding your question, it's better to ask the coaches first, because I was only a lecturer. I tried to do my best. I collected good topics with you beforehand, because you helped me a lot. So I think the most important thing was that as I emphasized in my Norsika interview, to communicate between the people, to communicate between the referees, to communicate between the coaches and the referees. This is one of the most important things, and this is the key point of success of our volleyball. So as I closed my lecture, if there was no other benefit of this lecture than to start to understand each other, this is one of the biggest things. So if there was no other benefit, it's already enough. It's sufficient. And to let you continue on this way your work, also in Israel and also in Confederation and also in all FIVB. It's my opinion. Okay. So it was a good idea. It was a good system. How was it organized? So congratulations for this.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I received this, I have to say that I received this idea after having a meeting with our referees, with our national referees. We made some Zoom meeting, and I posted a picture of it in the Facebook, and one of the coaches sent me a message saying that he would love to be there in this meeting to hear about professional items and topics. And then I started to think about it. Why won't we do this kind of meeting with the coaches, talk about topics which were problematic for them, especially sometimes in the matches when there is some decision of the referee, and because they don't understand the rules or the implementation of the rules, they would get upset, and it's a real cause for discussion and arguments. So after talking also with Stefano Cesare, that he told me they have it in Italy for several years. It was a great idea, I think, and it was really done perfectly I received a lot of very positive comments from it, and as I sent to you, Mr. Herpai, and the coaches are very positive for that, and they asked to have more meetings of that sort. So we'll have maybe basically another meeting with a local representative, and thinking about having some more meetings with personalities like you, or professional personalities that would give some kind of lectures to the coaches.
And something more.
Please.
It's a good example to follow for the others who are participating now in this meeting, to transfer to their own federation. If they didn't start this, let them start. If they already started, let them continue, because it's a good way.
Yes, it's
not for you, for the others.
It's a great idea. I uploaded this meeting that we had. I uploaded to our Google Drive, so you can see the video there. I will also upload again the link of the Google Drive after when we finish this session on the WhatsApp, so you can go and see the meetings that we have there. I also uploaded a video of Stefano Cesare's presentation to the Israelis national referees, talking about some situations and about the Italian Federation, how they work and everything. It's really nice and very informative to watch and to get some ideas. But thank you again, Mr. Herpai, for your help. It was a really good pleasure.
You're welcome.
Yeah, Roy, if I could just chip in as well.
Please.
And just further agree to what Laszlo was talking about communication. I've done a little bit of research with what I would call high performance athletes and coaches. And that's the big thing which they wanted. They wanted to be able to improve that communication and improve the relationship. And as Laszlo said, or as you had mentioned, that sometimes during a match that there is a point of clarification. Now, it's not a clinic. You're not giving a clinic to the coach, but you're just just explaining a situation. And as we talk about in the discipline and progressive discipline, it is about trying to prevent something from happening. And modern volleyball, FIVB, at the FIVB level, it is very much an entertainment and very much a communicative type of program, not only with the athletes and the coaches, but with the spectators as well. So if we as referees are able to manage the game a little better by having this type of communication, that is really important because it builds that relationship. For some of us, we'll go back to times when the coach had to sit on the bench. They were not allowed to say anything. They were not allowed to yell in or out. All they were allowed to do is call a substitution or call a timeout. That was our only communication. And now we're seeing in modern professional sport, there's this much more engagement between coaches and referees. And then we have to learn how to manage that because it's something new for us, being able to have that. And the FIVB is, you know, as a corporate entity or as a sport presentation entity, is encouraging this type of entertainment. And what we have to be careful between some coaches who abuse that type of privilege or relationship we have with them to making sure that we're able to have that communication. So I think this is continually going to be an evolving discussion point for referees over the next the next couple of years, until we get a real sound message and we find out where that line is, that a coach has crossed the line or a coach is on the line. And that for us as referees, that we're able to continue the flow of the match without that type of interruption. So I agree with Laszlo, and we've done some things here in North Sika where we've had, with some of our continental clinics, we've had coaches come in and speak, and that's been the big thing for them, is just been able to have a better understanding of some of the decisions of the referees.
Okay. In that notion, and with this topic, I would like to ask, maybe Guy, you can give me your opinion about that. During the session with the coaches, there was a topic that the coaches spoke about, the differences in the game management between referees.
Yes.
One can be much stricter, and then the other one can be more easygoing. One is an excellent manager with excellent working around with the group, and the other one will be strictly on the rules and will work on really different kind of mentality. Okay, now we understand that referees are human beings, and we have our own personalities and our way. But I think my question is, does the FIVB have, or the FIVB Referee Commission have work on trying to have a uniformity between all to get a uniformity of management, or I would say, yeah, management of the match itself?
Yeah, the answer to that's not simple. So there's many different pieces of that puzzle to get to the point where we're able to consistently manage the match by referee, the referee, the referee. One of the things which the FIVB is doing, and we've just started this in the last couple of years, and it continues to be evolving, is the FIVB Referee Resource Center. So what we're trying to do there is get a common understanding of the application of a rule or understanding of a situation. Now, each situation is a little different, and how we manage it, we're trying to get the same type of level of management. Also, refereeing has changed as well. In the past, and one of the sessions that we did here in NORCECA, we had Jose Ramon Perez Vento, who is the president of the NORCECA Referee Commission, and a very established referee himself. And I asked him the question about what has changed in refereeing from his time as an active referee to what I would call modern day refereeing. And he mentioned back then is that in that particular time era, referees were responsible for calling everything. You had to touch the net. There's one time, even if you touched the center line, it was a fault. You had to call ball handling really strictly. So there was a lot of things that they had to do because the rules said that. But what we've moved on to is allowing much more freedom in the application of the rules and in the flow of the game. So coming back to your question, is there a difference? And I think as referees, we're all trying to find that level of understanding of how we apply the rules. And then developing your own personality. You talked about the personality, but developing your own personality of how you manage that particular situation. And as referees, we are there to ensure that the game has good flow. That's very important for modern volleyball. As we see, and as we heard, and Laszlo will talk about this, is that we're not meant to be authoritarian. We're meant to be relaxed. We're meant to. So our role is more of a facilitator in the match. Once upon a time, we would use the rules to manage a match, and now we manage the match by using the rules. So everything may not be right in the rule book, or everything may not be applied, and particularly if we were to say to the letter of the rule. But what we're attempting to do is apply within the spirit of the rule that the correct decision has been made. And that's the reason why for the challenge system we put in. And again, it wasn't something to say that the referee made a mistake, it was just ensuring that the correct decision was made. So I think for us as referees to get that consistency is certainly have and continue to use the Referee Resource Center as the guideline that gets there. And we'll continue to develop that. Sandy Steele and I were chatting about something earlier on this week. And then what we're hoping to be able to do, and through these types of conversations, is that we can establish a uniform level of refereeing internationally. And then hopefully they will be able to bring that back to their national federations and work it down through the system.
Thank you. Okay, thank you. Mr. Herpai.
Yeah.
Question.
Sorry, Roy.
Yeah.
Does anybody have any questions around that particular approach or that particular aspect which I talked about?
I have.
Go ahead. Hi, good to see you.
Good to see you.
Good to see you.
Yeah. This is a question also for us. I'm now president of a national federation, so of the
Yes.
referee commission. Yeah. And how can we get the contents to spread it out, and how can we know about this so that also the message can be spread out through the national referees, so that volleyball is not much different. It's always different, but it's not much different from what's happened inside from what happens on FIVB and CEV level.
Yeah, I think that's one of the challenges. And we've talked about a little bit about the referee a topic has been during this particular time is about who has access to the Referee Academy or the Referee Resource Center. And a few weeks ago, maybe 8 weeks ago, so the weeks there's no weeks now, it's just like days and days and days. So a while ago, there was a note sent out from FIVB to the to the confederations, indicating here's the link. And you go to my, I'll get it before we go, but I think you go to my FIVB. I'll get it. I'll post it on. I'll post it on the site. So.
Yes. Are you?
What happened?
It's okay.
Okay, I'm still here, but it's.
No, we still see you and we still hear you.
Okay, well, I can't see you folks because I got something back and posted to the add additional
upgrading or something like that.
But anyway, I'll just keep talking. I'll post the link on this particular form that you can look at. And I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought there. So hopefully, Avello, that's the best I do. Also, what we're seeing is wait, let me get that. Roy, I'm going to go out and just come back in.
Okay.
Just
so we'll go back to this topic once you come back.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Herpai, do you have anything to add to that?
Yes. Let me give back the ball. Let me give back the ball to you. Sorry, Avelino. Because you are waiting from FIVB the materials, the guidelines, the instructions, and so on. My idea is that FIVB cannot be responsible for all international referees, for all national referees, because our efforts are limited. So we can focus first step to the top referees to provide in the top volleyball the best referees. And after that, we can extend our range. Parallel to this, the national federations and the continental confederations must work on own way, own materials. And after that, we have to compare these two materials coming from FIVB and coming from the lower level. And if they are fit together, okay, fine. If they are they are not consistent, we have to adjust. But please don't wait everything from FIVB, okay? So that's why I want to give back the ball to you. For example, Israeli Association launched something, asked some help, and after that, they go on their way. It's a good example, not because we are invited by Roy. Okay, so everybody must have to put something onto the table to start, and after that, ask help from FIVB, but not wait for everything coming from FIVB. Sorry to say this, but this is the truth.
But sorry, but what I was mentioned by this is, I understand, and it's obviously, it cannot be only from one side or only from FIVB. But what I'm saying is, for example, when you change something, which is not the rules. For example, I stopped 2015, but now, for example, what I heard and what we get is that the stars are the players, not the coaches. So we must be more strictly with the coaches. Where is this written?
For example, in the guidelines. Issued 1 month before, for example.
Yes, now on the last issue only, yes. That came down now this
also
year.
before in 2000. Yes.
Yes. Okay,
I was also one of the responsible to create the guidelines or update the guidelines.
I know.
I remember in 2018 it was already written because of Ari Grassa. Ari Grassa insists very strongly to push back the coaches, because the stars should be the players on the court. So believe me, this is at least from 2014 when Ari Grassa was elected. So we try to give the message. Maybe it's not enough effectively, but we are trying.
Yeah, and I think as well, it's that that communication feature that we're looking at. And again, because of the situation we're finding ourselves in, I know from a Willie's perspective, I know from Sandy's perspective, and Laszlo and I have had a chat that sort of everybody's stepping back now and having a look at all these opportunities which various federations and organizations are doing out there. And then how do we use this? How do we use this in the future so that we can have this communication? Because as Laszlo mentioned, you know, the president has been really strong in his, any time he presents with us, is that the athletes are the heroes. You know, they created the hero program for FIVB. So we're seeing all this, and not so much with the coaches, while the coaches have a very important role. But it comes back to the original part of this question. Coaches, what are they wanting from referees? And they want to be able to have this communication. And what we have to do is manage it so they don't abuse that situation, that they become then the show, and then trying to manipulate the match by their own behavior and manipulate some decisions of the referees.
Okay.
Hopefully that's helpful.
Any other questions about this topic? Anybody wants to join or add something? So connecting to the same topic, but on a different question, we have seen in the Continental Federation study sessions as we are having now, and ways to keep up to date, meaning until now, I mean, Zoom was an application before the Corona times, but suddenly everybody's using that. And we started to find out different ways of communicating and using this applications and materials to do studies and professional meetings as we are doing now. Will the FIVB be using, or will use this kind of this applications or sessions that as we're doing now in the future to continue with referees, or maybe with just groups of referees, let's say before a tournament, or maybe before some levels of referees? What is your opinion?
I'll take that one, Laszlo. Definitely, yes. That's coming. That's undoubtedly it's coming. Is, and I'll keep on going back to the Resource Center as our first step into this. We were just about, before this hit, was to do a survey, for the lack of a better term, get some feedback on what referees would like to see from the FIVB, from the FIVB Refereeing and Rules of the Game Commission. And then one of the things that was proposed at the last commission meeting was maybe doing some type of worldwide refreshment type of program, and then how we engage in that. Unfortunately, because of where we are and some of the finances and everything that goes into that, that program has probably been shelved until 2021. But what we're able to use from this experience is, how do we use these tools to connect? You know, what are the topics? What are the subjects? Who are the presenters? So that they're done in a quality, interactive way, in an engaging way for referees. So the simple answer is yes, I see that coming. The how part, I still think that's under development. And you know, this, in order to do it, what I would say properly, and that it's done professionally and engaging, that is just that we just really can't be a knee-jerk reaction that we're closed down for 9 weeks now, at least here in Canada. Some countries just started to open up. So I think this is, you may not see, you know, FIVB type of level volleyball until sometime later in the fall, or maybe even, you know, mid next year. So I think in preparation for that, if they go with the 2021 youth championships that are upcoming, you know, with VNL upcoming, with Challenge League, Challenge Cup upcoming, I think that you're going to see something off, you know, certainly prior to 2021 in the youth age group championships.
Okay, thank you very much. Mr. Herpai, do you have anything to add?
Before this meeting, I tried to be prepared properly, and I asked Willie, the president of the Refereeing Commission, And practically, he replied me on the same way like Guy mentioned right now. But don't forget that every organization has own working style. So as I told you, that FIVB cannot be responsible for all international or all national referees. So we have to do it step by step. Maybe in the 2021 will be a real big campaign for this. But actually, as Guy told us, who would be the lecturer? What kind of group would be made? So what kind of topic to present or discuss? Better to say discuss. So it's not so easy to prepare right now. It's a long procedure, and don't forget that this is the last year of our commission with this composition. So nobody knows what will be the next composition.
Mikhail, you wanted to ask something?
Yes, hello everybody. I want to say that the FIVB has already started a webinar, because this year on March we have the webinar for 9 hours, of course, all day long for the challenge referees all over the world. So FIVB has already started using Microsoft Teams, okay, another platform, but it has, because they knew who was Mr. Steele was there, Mr. Paredes, of course, the instructors, and all the challenge referees all over the world. So FIB has already started webinars.
It's true.
Okay.
Yeah, Roy, just I think one of the functions of the FIVB is to provide, back to what Aveno talked about, is providing some guidelines and some overall framework that other confederations may be able to take that and develop their own, so that the message is consistent from here's the FIVB level competition, and then you adapt it for your own national or regional competition. So I think that there will be opportunities coming, and again, just to reiterate, yes, I see this coming in the maybe not the near future, but soon, certainly before spring 2021.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So talking about the competitions, do you have, there was a question, do you have any idea if the calendar for international competitions will be changed? Let's say like in football, there will be breaks in national competition mid-season for international competitions or so.
Well, on Monday at 7 p.m. Central European time, there will be a special session with Fabio from the FIVB, our Director General. And I will certainly ask him that question. It's just him alone, just he and I talking about how the pandemic has had effect on the FIVB, and talking about the future, where we're going, how they expect the rollout to move on. And that's something I could certainly ask him. I'm not aware of anything along those lines, and I'm not quite sure if you are, Laszlo.
Okay. So because of the coronavirus and its effect on well, I think also on the match protocol and the way we will now matches will be conducted. Mr. Herpai, do you think there will be any changes in the match protocol because of the coronavirus?
The reply is very easy. It doesn't belong to us.
Okay.
This is another department in FIVB is the responsible for that. So okay, we just apply. If in the guidelines it's written, it's our responsibility to put it, but to decide how is the procedure, it's not our responsibility. And don't forget, almost every competition has slightly different protocols. So it's practically is not necessary to put to a strict protocol. Can be changed. Why not?
Okay.
I can make some comment on what's been happening, or what would have happened here in Canada. We just canceled our national championships, where we would have had over 10,000 athletes and 300 or 400 referees in attendance. And what they were doing, what they would have done here is that there was no handshaking, no elbow bumping, just really no contact at all. You know, particularly, and that would have taken place at the coin toss, certainly pre-match procedure, post-match. And as Laszlo said, there'll be, from the FIVB perspective, will be guided by the medical commission of actually what comes in. If I'm understanding what you mean by protocol, is that, you know, from the toss to the athletes shaking hands with each other, you know, outside the court, I'm not quite sure about, but hopefully that's of some help.
I can just say that here in Israel now, they're about to start the football, the soccer season back. And one of the restrictions that they said is not to huddle up after a goal or anything. The team cannot huddle up and jump on each other. So you saw them elbowing or something like that. So probably after every point in volleyball, they will not be allowed to do a huddles or anything, but we'll see how it evolves.
Well, I hopefully in football that there'll be no crowding of the referee anymore, that there'll be social distancing from the referees. Give them a bit of space.
For sure. Mr. Herpai, do you know if there will be a chapter in the rule book regarding the challenge referee?
I promise no. This topic is not on our agenda, but what we're already talking about, that the challenge referee should be put into the members of the refereeing corps on a match. So why not to put him or her to the referees? There is a good chance that in the next edition, the challenge referee will be in.
I've whistled a match in Russia, and in the score sheet there was a line for a challenge referee as well that was added there in their system. But I guess that maybe it could be added also in the near future.
They are pioneers in this topic. That's all.
Mm-hmm. Guy, can you tell us about referee coach? What are the objectives or duties of the referee coach? The difference between a referee delegate and a referee coach?
As we all know, the culture of volleyball is changing. Again, with President Grasso, when he came in after 2012, was very strong around, again, the entertainment value, the professionalization of volleyball, how we've moved on from, you know, a World League to VNL, how we've moved on to encouraging of social media, of those contacts. So the game is changing in its whole way. And as I mentioned earlier, in our previous life as referees, we were responsible for calling, you know, finding all sorts of faults. That was our job, to find faults and whistle faults. Now, for this level of volleyball and for today's volleyball, we're talking about managing a match. And I spoke a little about, you know, managing a match using the rules. So in the past, the referee delegate was more of administrative. You know, we assigned somebody, we completed their, and, you know, back then it was evaluations, the R4 form, and we spoke with them after, and we generally told them what they did wrong. However, in what we're trying to do now is that the players are training so much. From an international level, federations are putting in extraordinary amounts of money into the development of their teams and development of their athletes. So from the Refereeing and Rules of the Game Commission perspective, it wasn't, we have to keep pace with this. We have to no longer just go in and tell someone what they did wrong. It's about improving, and it's about preparing us for the next match. So what we've gone from, you know, from that delegate side, now it's that we want referees to succeed. And from a referee coaching perspective, sometimes we may have that difficult conversation as a athlete coach will have with his or her athletes. You know, for us, it's the same thing, because we just want to make sure that you survive this particular competition, that you provide a really high level of service to the athletes. And, you know, a long time ago, maybe only 10 years ago, we did not have all the video capability which we have. So now we're able to further engage referees by saying, like, here is a situation. And what we want referees to understand is how to manage that particular situation, because it probably arises again. So it's not just saying you missed a net touch. Well, what happened? Or there was, chatter between the net. Well, what caused that? So we're stepping back and having a look at the root of some of the situations that we're looking at to better prepare referees to, when they see the situation, they're able to, pull that situation from their filing cabinet in their mind and say, this is how I would implement this. Or they see a situation, they're taking something from the casebook and say, oh, I saw that in the casebook. It may not be the exact same thing, but it's close enough, and then I'm able to apply for it. So from a coaching perspective, it is about referee development. It's about ensuring that you have success and providing you with that support and feedback as much as we can to ensure that you're able to manage the next match, to manage the next situation more effectively.
Thank you very much. Mr. Herpai, do you have anything to add?
May I add something?
Please.
I fully agree with Guy, of course. Not because we are in the same commission, but we have almost the same meaning. For me, it doesn't matter what is the name of the person who need to help the referee. I don't mind the referee delegate or referee coach. The most important is, what does he or she know? What does he do? Help the referees to prepare the match and with the evaluation to prepare the next match or not. If he does correctly, I don't mind what is the name. My personal opinion, I did the same as a referee delegate a couple of years ago, and now a referee coach. Helping the referee evaluate using videos, analyzing videos, maybe the personal videos about the referee's performance. So we need to support the referees to get the highest level as they can. My question would be that if you as referees, you realize any difference between the referee delegates period and the actual referee coach period. Anybody can put something for this? So the actual system is better than the previous one, or the same, or maybe worse. I hope the last one is impossible. May we have any feedback?
From my experience, I didn't have many referee coaches / delegates in the last few years, but from those that I had, they didn't change much themselves. I mean, they were very helpful and supportive when they were delegates, but then it would show on the R4 usually with the score that you would receive at the end once the R4 form was they filled it and gave it to us. But on the other hand, now when the R4, it's not about the score or the points that you receive, but the comments themselves, it writes even better. It gives better, I would say, whatever the referee coach told us in the room inside after the match, it stays written, and not just in points, but also with paraphrases and everything. And most of them also write for the future references, what you should do to get improve. You should put this 1, 2, 3 points are for you to improve, and these 1, 2, 3 points are very strong for you, and you are very good at that. And this was not available in the score, in the points R4 before that. So this is my strong feeling of change that there was until now. Now as a coach and not as a delegate. But when talking with the delegates or with the coach, with the referee coach, the information that we talked about was also all the same. The way they talked, the way they explained was the same for me. This was my experience If anybody else has somebody,
it's a
please.
positive feedback. It's a positive feedback. Any other opinion?
Nobody had the referee coach.
Yeah. It's more of a development approach now. You know, it's, as Roy said, it's, you know, the remarks that you're given are not something that it's not necessarily talk about the past. It should be talking about the future. This is, you know, here's a situation that you might want to look at in the future and how to improve yourself. And that by having that type of discussion gets back to one of your earlier questions about consistency and about, you know, consistency amongst decisions, but consistency amongst behavior too as well, how referees manage a match. And it's really going to be a bit more by osmosis as we continue to have this discussion, and it continues to filter from here's from an FIVB level to a national level to that local level, that we're trying to get this message down. And it's going to take time. As I said, we're changing a culture, so the culture is going to be a little longer, but long as that we keep engaged with these types of conversations, that I think we're going to get there.
Okay, thank you very much. There was a question regarding this reviewing of delegates and coaches. A question was asked, when reviewing a referee in the FIVB competitions, does the confederation of that referee receives the reviews or the feedback? Is there much influence of these reviews on the ranking of the referee in the FIVB? Meaning, if he was ranked on a lower or higher level by the confederation, will the FIVB change the ranking based on the reviews that were given? Mr. Herpai, please.
Yes, I asked also about it, Willie, yesterday, and he replied me, there is a feedback only in extra negative situation. If everything is good with the referee, it's not necessary to send any feedback to the confederation. But if there is a real negative extreme situation, we have to inform the home confederation. Regarding the ranking, I think it is obvious that, for example, if somebody is ranked in Europe on the lowest level, for example, if I don't remember what is the worst category in CVD, category D, I don't mind, so it is the lowest one. Meanwhile, in FIVB, he is the A category. It's nonsense, it's impossible. So before the categorization, we need a kind of conversation between the refereeing commission in FIVB and the confederation commission. The confederation commission proposed a kind of category, and the FIVB more or less take into consideration this.
Okay, thank you. Guy, I would like to ask you, please, what is the criteria for international referees now? Continental and then FIVB. I understood there's some difference now in the wording or the levels and the way they will be ranked, FIVB or Continental. Will already FIVB referees need to undergo a course? Another question is, who will decide who will be or will not be in the FIVB quota?
Okay. So as you may be aware, probably about 2015, the FIVB, the refereeing rules of Game Commission, they were combined. So what we did, we looked at all the referees, and the president of GRASA said, we have about 1,500 to 2,000 referees, somewhere along those lines. But we're only using about 250 for FIVB competitions. So it was on his strong urging that there was a categorization of referees created. And that's level categories A, B1, B2, and C. Those referees at that particular time, all of the confederations were asked to submit a list of names of referees who would be considered for various levels of categorization. that particular time, then the FIVB Refereeing Rules of the Game Commission went through their own evaluation and graded referees in the various different categories. So some are A, and those would be our high performance referees who do the Olympic Games, do World Championships, do the finals at the FIV at the World League or Volleyball Nations League. So there was a certain criteria, and the C-level referees, they were the developing referees that would continue to work at the youth competitions. Some may even do some World Championships or whatever it was, but we were able to get there. So now what we have is that we have the FIVB categorized referee, and then we have everybody else. And then at that particular time, we also stopped having the FIVB candidate courses. So now there wasn't any way for anybody to become even an international referee. So that was delegated to the confederations to create their own continental referee course. Now, yes, what we have is that we have an FIVB referee, and those are the ones that are categorized. Then we have our continental referees, but everybody else, even though you take a continental referee course, you are still an international referee. So everybody who takes a continental course is still an international referee. The question that is starting to arise is, how do I become a categorized referee? How do I get from where my continental referee level is to become a C referee? And once you complete the categorization course, you automatically become a C. So in 2021, what we're looking at or considering is having a course. Now, that is still the plan, despite what's happening right now, that we would have 25 referees throughout the world that would be identified by their own confederations who attend this type of course. Now, just because you attend doesn't mean that you're automatically going to pass. It is about high performance. It is about managing and understanding the qualities and the interpretation of the rules and everything else that goes to being a high performance referee. And in order to provide quality to this type of assessment of referees and to the course of a referees, where the proposed plan right now is to host it in combination with one of the youth world championships. So you come, the referees will be nominated, and they'll be selected by their own confederation. So right now we're looking at 25, so that's 5 confederations, looking at 5 from each confederation. And that's going to be up to the confederation themselves to determine and nominate and select referees to be able to attend this particular course. They would do the course as normal, which we would do, but it wouldn't be a whole lot of reflection on the rules of the game. There'll be a lot of managing the game, using situations, and then there's the evaluation that would take place, or the assessment that would take place when someone actually begins the whistling at one of these competitions. Because what we're looking for is, or what the commission is looking for, is referees for the future. In the past, when we did the referees candidates course, you attended and you either were very good or needed a bit more work. At this particular one, it's always very good. You have to be at the level that you're going to be looking for the future to be able to participate in FIVB related activities and events.
Just a small question? Is there an age limitation for this categorized referees?
Yes, there is. It's a normal between, well, I thought it was the 41, but I talked with Willie earlier on this weekend. It may be the 45.
45.
So right now they'll be at the age of 45. So that was there was some earlier writings, but now it's from 30 to 45.
Okay.
Actually, could even be 25 to 45. So yeah.
And let me add something to this point. I wanted to mention, but your question was before it. So can you imagine that somebody enters to FIVB in the age of 45? The age limit is 55, actually, normally. Somebody can be extended, but okay, normally it's 55. So how can a referee can make a good career within 10 years? It's very difficult. So what I want to emphasize. So it's the National Federation's responsibility to discover the young talent referees, to promote them, and also if they passed a continental international candidate course, they should be very young in order that to FIVB course, not to reach close to the 45 years old. So do you understand? So if somebody is enough young, enough talent, they should be promoted, they should be upgraded as much as possible.
Okay.
And I guess two of the particular criteria for this course is English.
Of course.
Have to be able to communicate strongly in English. And secondly is match the health management program as set by FIVB.
Okay, I understand. So you answered my one of the questions in this topic, that for this course it will be mandatory English, and it's not as in the continental ones, which we saw they have the possibility to make a continental international course in other languages.
Yes, that's correct. And let's just take Norsika for example. We have primarily two languages, English and Spanish. Many of our referees are very good, even though they may only secure one language or another, and particularly on the Spanish side. So we did not feel it was appropriate or fair, really, that we would withhold somebody back from their development as a referee. If they had the skill set to be a really strong referee, we can develop that. Now, if they wish to go to be an international referee, there is another criteria which they must really engage themselves in, and that's learn English. They have to be able to chat, with the headset with the challenge referee. They have to be able to communicate effectively with the scorer, particularly as they are too. So English is the first language of the FIVB. So that is a major criteria.
Mm-hmm. You touched the health management program for as one of the things that you must be to join it, to go into the FIVB course. Will there be any major changes in this criteria of the fitness check, the BMI, the Cooper test, all these things? I must add that one of my retired referees, one of my good friends, he told me that he retired just at the right time when all of these things just started to be applied and everything. But the question is the FIVB still enforcing, or is planning still to enforce the fitness checks, the BMI, the Cooper, all this kind of things that we must have?
Is that for me or Laszlo?
Please, Herpai.
Yes, I don't know exactly how look now the M4 form. I suppose there is no BMI on there, if I know well. But the Cooper test or the fitness check is still forced by FIVB. But Willie replied me. Let me repeat perfectly. It could be accepted a 1 hour daily walking as well. So you can say that something is decided by Board of Administration, Cooper test or something like that. But the practice, the real life is a little bit different. So we force that the referees really keep their health, because 200 kilograms weight, it's impossible to be a first referee, okay? And in the bad conditions also not accepted. So this is the referee's responsibility to keep their condition, mental and physical condition. And somehow we have to administrate it, but we are not absolutely letter by letter, strict letter by letter. I don't know, what is your opinion, Guy?
Yeah, so the purpose behind the health management program is really the health of the referee. What we've talked about earlier on was the new style of volleyball. It's really high pressure. There's a lot of money on the line, and what we want to make sure, and so, it's a lot of prestigious on the line too. Competed countries that there is very high level competition, and to ensure that the referee physically is able to manage that, physically able to endure this type of pressure, that if they're overweight, it's certainly, from a BMI perspective, that may have some impact on, the internal organs of the body and on your heart and on your blood pressure and how you manage those types of things. So in order to maintain that and provide a healthy opportunity for a referee, is that you do the health management program. You do your either the Cooper test, or as Willie talked about, we want you to walk at least an hour. We want you to be physically fit, because if some of us will go to a tournament, a competition, this competition, you go to a world championships, it's like 10 or 12, 14 days of competition. And we need as all the referees, we need to be as sharp on day one as at 14-14 in the fifth set in 2 hours and 10 minutes on the very last day. So in order to do that, you really need to be physically fit. So yes, I would say that the fitness checks are going to continue, that if your BMI is over the limit, as on your health form that you complete by your doctor, you would expect to be invited to participate in the health management program that FIVB Medical Commission has set out. And then during competition, it's always, we expect referees to be physically active so that they'll be mentally sharp, and that's what Laszlo just spoke about. So I do not see any change coming. There may be some, I know there was some debate regarding the application of the Cooper test, but I think as Laszlo and Willie had mentioned, that there may be some softening, but long as that you are physically active and that you're maintain good body weight, which is in your own health structure, that things will be okay.
Yes, Mr. Herpai.
I don't want to talk about too much about this topic, but one thing is the normal physical condition, Cooper test or something like that. But you can be fit generally perfectly, but if there is a tournament and you go to sleep every night 2 or 3 a.m. after a couple of beers, how can you be prepared for the next match, for example, the final of the tournament? So what I want to emphasize, it's not obligatory to keep every day a daily meeting about to evaluate the previous match, previous day performance. In this case, we give this time for you to be to make some health training, go to a fitness room or any other physical activity you need in order to be prepared well to the afternoon match. So it's not, in this case, you have to profit this possibility, not to sit always in the meeting room and to listen Herpai's speech, I don't know. But you should prepare yourself for the match in the site. You understand?
Yes, thank you. Very understood. Anybody would like to ask any questions? I would stop now for any questions or comments from anybody on the topics that we just spoke before we continue. Yes, Mr. Dowd.
Yeah, thank you. Good evening, everyone. I'm happy to see Guy once more in working for some tournaments. This medical follow-up, does it concern also the challenge referee, I would say?
Not as, I can't answer that question. I don't think so right yet. I don't think that's at that level yet, but I'm not able to answer that. Maybe Laszlo can. The question was, does the BMI, does the health management standards also reflect with the challenge referee?
You know, a challenge referee is a totally new category, new job. If we see that we need to do with them, okay, we will do. If the life proves that it's not necessary to take care about the health management of the challenge referees, we don't do it. We don't want to make suffer the challenge referees. But if it's necessary, we will do, I'm sure.
If I could ask Mikkel, when you were on the challenge referee seminar back in March, was there any discussion with the health management program?
Yes, it was. We asked not to send the M4, we asked to send M7.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's similar, like
Yeah.
the officials.
Yeah,
Yes.
and the M7 is just, you would go to your medical practitioner who would take your blood pressure and some things along those, and then they would just certify you that you're able to participate in international competition.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank
Like
you, Mikkel.
like we have to do.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. I would like to move up to two or three questions regarding the rules and some professional topics. First of all, Mr. Herpai, do you know of any major changes or modification in the upcoming rule book? You know for sure, but will you share it with us?
We are not forced to propose any big changes, big modifications in the rule book. So our agenda doesn't contain such major changes. Don't worry. The volleyball remains the same as in this year.
Yes.
Most of the changes over the last couple of years have been more to the regulation side of the game and not to the actual application of the game itself. And again, the FIVB is attempting to, again, make the game flow a little easier, give the match supervisor a little bit more of of leeway in how they would apply things. One of the changes that I didn't see in the rule book yet, I'm not quite sure if it's coming, was around temperature. We had one competition somewhere where the temperature was above what was in the rule book, and they had no other choice, so they continued on. So you may not see something like that there in the future, but I think, as Laszlo mentioned, from the technical side, I'm not aware of anything either.
Okay. Guy, can you please tell us a little bit about the testing of the second hit of the ball handling of the team?
Yeah, I think in Russia, they're having a test this year with that, but it's not an official test from the FIVB. The FIVB has not encouraged us to look at a second hit, relaxing the second hit decision. There was some discussion 3 or 4 years ago when we're looking at a number of rule changes, maybe that you could allow the second hit be very similar to the first hit, that you allowed multiple contacts. There was one suggestion that, if you're continuing on with this, it could not be in an attack. So you could not manipulate the ball on the second hit and attack it so that you could change the direction of the ball. But to the best of my knowledge, there's nothing from the FIVB's perspective that we're looking at. Other than that, you would hear at various competitions is that the FIVB motto is keep the ball flying. And that we're encouraging referees not to be so harsh on minor ball contacts. Keep the ball flying, keep the game going. Because in actual fact, the team is not gaining any advantage by that double hit, the second contact. However, if it is, what we would call a must call, then we're encouraging referees to make that decision.
Yeah, Mr. Laszlo, please.
I'm very happy that Guy replied to your question, because as participating in the preparation of the next rule book, it is forbidden for me to tell anything about it. So I'm very happy that the guy will be punished and not me.
Okay, I know.
But more or less, I agree with him. Yes, there are some rumors and so on.
I've heard that there's going to be a testing also in Italy in the youth championship tournaments that they're going to do. They're going to test this kind of ball handling on the second hit. And as Patty, hi Patty, and thank you for joining us. You said also that you're going to have some testing, I think, in your local college volleyball. Do you mind giving us some points about that if you feel good?
Well, it's the same. It's this. We're taking the same spin that the FIVB is, and so our college teams will be experimenting with no calls on the second contact. And the teams themselves actually are going to be statting the results of these potential calls. So the teams will be statting if their setter set the ball and it was, or their second player set the ball and it was clearly a double not called, who won that rally. And then those results that each of the coaches and the referees will report then to our NCAA coordinators. So we'll see how that all goes.
So Patty, a question, who's keeping these stats? Are these referees keeping a stat or a non-referee?
Yes, it's referees, the referees that end that match, and as well as the coaches. The coaches are getting involved as well. They want the coaches to be involved because unlike, well, a little bit like FIVB, but particularly in the NCAA, which is our pro league, basically, the coaches and an administrator are on our rules committee. So the rules committee is made up of coaches of the different divisions and an administrator, and they make decisions on the rules. So they want to make sure the coaches are highly involved in this process.
Okay.
Okay, thank you very much. Ismail, you wanted to ask something?
Hi, the guy, and hi, Mr. Herpai. How are you? How's everything? Just I need to ask about the rule that we put it on the rule book, the screen. We put that rule in the screen, in the rule, but unfortunately, there is no any call. If you search in the word and you see somebody calling that rule in the matches, I think nobody can call the fault screen for that. In my opinion, why they not change the rules and they make it as I think as a beach volleyball? I think maybe the referees can ask the player, please go away and don't stop and don't screen and don't make any screen. In my opinion, this rule should be, I think, there will be any modified for the screen. What do you think, Mr. Guy and Herpai?
Mr. Herpai,
I have two comments. First, it's not true that nobody whistles screen. I saw a top volleyball match when the same referee whistled two different, called one time the screen as a fault, and absolutely the same situation he didn't call. I have videos about it, and my hair was a little bit up because it was totally inconsistent approach of this rule. That is the biggest problem, that on the same match, the referee considers different way on the same situation. Secondly, please, Arushi, can you send me a text, a wording about how to change this screen rule? Because I hope we agree that if we delete completely the screen rule, would be a much more worse situation than actually we have. So today we have the more flexible screen rule. And if we delete, even with this rule, we have sometimes very bad real screen, intentional screens. But if we delete completely, I couldn't imagine how worse situation can happen. So actually, we prefer to keep this rule in the rule book. But if you have a good idea and good wording, we can consider.
Yeah, I think the screen rule is one of the most challenging, and almost every clinic or every session we do, it comes up, what about the screen rule? And I think if we look back, some of the rules that you have to look maybe at the historical reason why they were placed in the rule book. And this is a long-standing rule, and it might have been back when, when volleyball was just, whoever was in position 3 set, there wasn't any changing around, they served underhand, and by putting people together that you were not able to see the server. And as Laszlo mentioned, the rule has been relaxed that, that now they cannot stop. You got to be able to see the pathway of the ball, and with all the jump spikes and the attack serves that we see now, is that it's really hard to make that decision of whether it's a screen, because it's at the screen at the time the ball crosses the net. But if you also look at all the video and how many times have you seen a player, the ball drop in because they did not see the ball, or they may not be able to play the ball because they did not see the ball. It's the very vast high majority of serve receptions are good contact. Now they may shank the ball, but that's only because of position or something, not because they did not see the ball, that they weren't surprised. So they're looking through the placement of the players on the serving team, and they're able to see where the athlete is serving from, and getting and timing his or her approach to make contact with the ball. And then the ball is hit relatively high, and then they're able to see the full flight of the ball. So again, it's a challenging one. I think, as Laszlo said, if you take it out, coaches will always find a new way to try to manipulate the rules. May not be the best term to use, but find a way to get around the rule. So if you left it open, are they going to jump? Are they going to wave their arms and those types of things? And right now, they're just pretty static in their position. So, I just think it's a challenging rule for us to take out. But again, if you look at the amount of service reception success which we have, I don't even know why people screen, because it seems to take the defense, the serving team, more out of their position than it does the serve reception team. That's just a personal opinion.
I think it's a good idea to put the Corona rules. So we put 1 meter between the players.
Good, not bad. Please write. Type to send me.
Yeah.
Yes. Thank you for your answers. Thanks.
Christos, please.
Yeah, thanks, Roy. Well, nice to see everybody. Regarding the screen rule, I had a question from a national referee during a seminar the other day. My understanding is that the rules have changed so that we wish less of the screen and just let the game continue in case we're not sure. And my understanding and what I answered actually was that the position of the first referee, who is responsible to whistle the screen, is not the optimum position to realize the screen.
Yeah.
The optimum
worst
position would be if I had a camera behind the end line and I could see that camera. So my position is not optimum. Optimum would be behind the court. So I will tell you what I answered, and please tell me if I was wrong or correct me. What I do if I'm suspicious of a screen, I might call the captain and say, look, I believe you are screening, please stop it. And on the second instance, I will whistle. I would like your opinion on what I do, if it's wrong or right, or if you have some other proposal on that. Thank you.
From practical aspect, it's a good system, but only low level. So on top volleyball, I cannot imagine that Susanna calls the game captain of one team, please stop the screening. I cannot imagine that. Lower level, as a more educative referee can do it, why not? And let me have another comment. If you realize that the team really screening, don't start to whistle screen at the match ball, okay? Because the team has a system, they start at 0-0 in the first set. So if you realize that it's a really disturbing screen, warn the captain, hey boy, stop it. And after that, after the warning, so-called warning, you can really apply the rule.
Yeah, and I'll just say, I agree with your approach. And again, I would just say, look at a number of video of where the teams are allegedly screening and look at the service reception rate. I think you'll find that the service reception rate is very, very high, and the position of the players really has no interference at all with the reception team.
Okay, Nick, you wanted to add something, please.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask, we were talking about rules which are in the rule book to so-called stop so that the teams don't manipulate the situations. What is your current view on positions and positional faults? There's been some talk recently between coaches about interpretation of when the positional fault is called, or when that position is between the point of service release and hit. It certainly came up in some very senior volleyball last year in the VNL about misconceptions on positional faults.
Guy, I passed to you this possibility to reply, because I have to shut my mouth.
Okay. No sweat. I think there's a couple of things with the positional fault. There is the front to back positional fault and the side to side positional fault. Now, in Canada, the speed limit on the major highway is, and I only say this to international referees, I don't use this with level 1 or level 2 domestic referees, or maybe even level 3, just at international referees. The speed limit is 100 kilometers, but you can go 120 kilometers without getting a ticket. So the rule is that, you know, in your position 1, you cannot be closer to the net than position 2. However, we're not looking at milliseconds or millimeters of someone being overlapping. It's whether or not they're really gaining an advantage. They're getting to the ball quicker than what they really should be. Plus, as well, I'm not a fan of giving away free points. And free point, and this is very personal. This is not, we have not discussed this when I was on the Rules of the Game Commission. We've not discussed this with the Refereeing Commission. So this is just me, my own personal opinion, is that as a referee, as a high performance referee, keeping the game flying, keeping the ball flying, that a setter coming from back court to front court would not gain an advantage if it's a minimal execution of where their placement are when the ball is served. Because it's not when as you know, it's not when the ball is tossed, it's when the ball is contacted that is officially in play. And this is where, at this particular time, players should be in the position by the rule book. However, they also, if you go 120, but if it's raining out or snowing, you're expected to maintain a proper speed. So again, it's how much you're going to abuse it, how much you're going to be on the level of acceptance for being a legal play, or we know that is not legal, but we're going to allow you some leeway to move forward, particularly from front to back. So I think, yes, there, you know, in modern volleyball, the art of volleyball, the smooth volleyball refereeing is that we're maintaining that someone is really not getting advantage. However, the side by side in the back, I think that's a full, particularly on service reception, I think that is someone receiving the ball. If they're overlapping or they're out of position, they are gaining a benefit by not following the strict application of the rules. So, you know, if I was coaching a referee and I saw somebody that was front to back overlapping, a setter coming forward, my advice was, this is happening, be aware for it, set your standard of what this is, because we are talking, you know, we're going from centimeters to, is a half a meter too much? you know, there isn't anything in the guidelines, because if we say, you know, you're allowed a half a meter, well, then the half meter becomes a rule. The rule right now says that you're not to be closer to the net, but we're allowing some leeway. Just like we're talking about with ball handling, we're allowing some leeway there too as well. But side to side, I think they're gaining advantage. They're hiding a player, or they all know where the opposition is going to serve. And so my teammate may not be a great passer, so I'm going to be an inch or 2 inches closer to, or you know, a couple of centimeters away from centimeters overlapping, and I think that should be called immediately. But that's my personal decision. We've not had this discussion at the Rules of the Game Commission at all. But Laszlo is the editor of the rule book, and I think he's much more competent to talk about this than I.
Oh. Just let me have a very short comment. Fully agree with Guy. Nick, be clever, be smart when you want to call a position of fault. Okay, so be clever. As referee, neither as referee delegate nor as referee coach, I never criticized the second referee when he whistled or not whistled the position of fault. This is the rule. Apply it smartly, smart way.
And the other tip is that when you're making that positional fault, you're using two hands. You're pointing to both players who you were saying are out of position. If you use one hand, nobody really knows. If you're using two hands, there's player A, player B, and there's side to side, or you know, whatever it is. But now people will clearly understand the two athletes which you're talking about who have made that out positional fault.
Okay, thank you very much. Another case, another question about the case that one of the referees asked me to bring up. If a player is running under the net, runs under the net to bring back a ball from opponent's free zone, and while running under the net without, let's say that he's not stepping in the opponent's court, but his back is touching the net, under the lowest part of the net with his back while running to bring the ball back. Will it be called as a fault or not? Mr. Herpai, please.
Yes, being as casebook editor, or one of the editors, I have to tell you that this case appeared 2 or 3 years ago. I don't remember exactly. And it was a big discussion among the commission if we put it into the casebook or not. Why was a discussion? Because different members had different opinion about it, and we were not able to create a consistent approach, consistent opinion about this case. Some voted that it was a fault in a touch because the player was in the playing the ball. Some of us was in favor that it's not a fault because it's only during the preparation, and the player touching the net was far from the ball, so it was not a big mass, but it was a big discussion. So we decided not to put into the casebook. What is my opinion? My private opinion. It's not a fault because it's only a preparation, running for the ball, but not in the playing action. So it's my private opinion. I can protect this opinion, but maybe another one can discuss me, can argue with me. I can listen, no problem. So my private opinion is not a fault.
It's quite logical, I guess. Yeah.
Does this happen many times?
I've seen it happen in my matches, maybe twice in my career. I've seen it. When usually in lower divisions or in local matches, not in international top levels, but then you could see that they were turning around to run and bring the ball back, and they would scratch with their backs the lower part of the net. And then
Did you call? did you call at fault?
I don't remember.
Good answer.
You can go to as a lawyer.
Another question to you, Mr. Herpai. Where do you receive your resources for the cases and for the casebook itself? I mean, the cases, the videos. Do you just watch a lot of videos, a lot of everything, or do you receive it from other resources? Are you planning on using third parties like referee coaches or supervisors that would send you special cases that they have seen in matches? If you can elaborate on that, please.
In the last couple of years, I'm very, very, very lucky in this point of view, because I have different sources. Of course, in Hungary and in FIVB level, I see several matches, and I take a note always when I'm sitting either at the table or somewhere else in the spectator stand. So I always tell to the referees, hey boys, don't concentrate what I'm doing, because maybe I collected the cases, so don't worry about me. So first source is my experience, of course. I received mainly the couple of months, a lot of videos from Willy Paredes, who is also not watching every matches, I'm 100% sure, but a lot of colleagues, a lot of referees send him videos, which is transferred to me, and mostly I can use them, either as a case to the casebook or a case for a teaching material. And of course, I have some guys in different national federations. Sometimes I receive from you also via WhatsApp some videos, and I'm looking for this on the YouTube. I found it HD cut and already in the archive. So I have several contacts, and I'm very happy with them, and I appreciate with their work. With Guy, we were talking about this idea, this dream, to create a kind of video database somewhere in FIVB or somewhere any other place, which can be opened from the users, registered users in different topics. And if somebody, for example, Roy, if you need some Israeli briefing meeting, you go to the database topic, libero digitization, okay, 1 or 2 video you can download and you can use with the official explanation offered by FIVB, because it's a stupidity to explain on different ways in different countries the same video. So it's unacceptable. These videos must have one official explanation. So this is the dream. Maybe we will be enough strong to realize it, to create it. It belongs to the future, I hope. So regarding returning to your question, I have different sources, and what I received, I analyze everything, and if it's worth to put into the casebook with a discussion with Willy and Sandy and any other members of the commission, it will be done. So this is my reply about it.
Just a small add, at our coaches meeting that we had a couple of days ago, we did a poll at the end of the meeting, and one of the questions was if we're going to have a database like that of videos, which will be with explanations and everything available to the coaches, would approve it? I mean, would they use that and be helpful for them? And it was 100% agreed that they wanted, that they were very happy to have this kind of this database.
Why not? We have no secret in our profession, and it would be a good tool to teach them about the rules, to reduce any stress, any conflict on the match. It is our interest. It is our common interest. Why not to do it?
So in the meantime, refer them to the casebook.
Yeah.
That's a place for them to start till we realize Laszlo's dream. So
Yeah, the casebook.
That could be a good movie, Laszlo's Dream. So,
Elena, you wanted to add something?
I've been working on such a system. I had it running in the Dutch competition, but unfortunately, when the rules changes, you have to maintain it, and it's a lot of work. I have been working on it, but unfortunately, nobody helped me, and I had to stop the dream. So we should collaborate, I think.
We have to put together and realize
Yes.
commonly. Okay.
Yeah.
yeah, we're working on something here in Canada too, as well, that might facilitate Laszlo's dream, but it's particularly a Canadian issue right now.
Yeah, also in Italy, Stefano Cesare shared with us, they have a website with only for the referees with dozens of videos and information that they can go on it and have some references to rules or to cases and stuff like that. I asked his permission to receive also a user there to have some chance to see, but he said that for now it's still strictly for the Italian referees. Yeah. Maybe they can cooperate later on and try. I mean, our goal is to share everything together and not to keep some media or some information to ourselves, I guess. The main goal is to evolve volleyball altogether.
And that comes back to your point earlier on, what type of leadership the FIVB can provide in having a central resource space. And I think that as a result of the pandemic and where we are now and everybody's thirst for this bit of knowledge at this particular time, I think it's naturally it's just going to be a natural evolution that in the next short period of time, 8 to 12 months or whatever that might be, you will see something definitely like that. Because people want it now. People have had this taste of this opportunity, like you set up here, Roy, and I'm seeing some other folks set up at different confederations that I think is just going to be a natural outcome. And the tsunami's already started. It's just how we manage it to make sure that it's worthwhile and consistent. And we continue to populate it because content is king or queen in that situation. Mm-hmm. So I think it's coming anyway. Just be patient.
Okay. Last questions, last topic that was brought up. The coronavirus caused volleyball to stop for a long period, the longest period in many years. When the activities will return, referees will be out of shape probably, and will probably need some practice to return it back to top quality. I guess first of all, it will be through the national federations or to the continental federations, but is the FIVB has any plans on helping them to come back into top quality again? Mr. Herpai, please.
To be honest, I have no information about it. Really.
Okay. So no plans, but a vision. And the vision is, yes, that everybody is stopped right now and the athletes are stopped. They're training on their own. And this is something like what we're doing here today. We're training on our own. We're preparing ourselves, for whenever things are going to reopen again. And I had a discussion with Sandy Steele this morning about this, of how we look at, once it's over, how we prepare people to get ready, to re-engage, to begin whistling again. There's been a lot of these sessions and there's going to be so much things in people's mind, but in all probability, high performance volleyball at the FIVB level will not take place again to 2021. Here in Canada, they're talking about the universities not being on campus until 2021, which means there may not be any, there will not be any university volleyball. And I think that's going to go down to high school. So I think for a lot of our referees, we may not whistle again in certain situations, depending on where it is in each country, until 2021. So for us, we are having this discussion within the working group I'm on, within and that's the educational group, within the FIVB Commission. So I think it's coming. Do we have plans? No. Vision? Yes.
Yes, Mr. Herpai.
Just a remark. To be honest, In my opinion, on FIVB level in 2020, there is no more volleyball on international level. It's my private idea. So in this case, the next event for the referees will be the next season in own countries. So this will be the preparation for the FIVB competitions or continental competitions to the next season. So it's a good question, but I feel it's a little bit theoretical.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
It's my feeling.
Okay. So it's very logical. This concludes my questions, my part. Anybody wants to add something, to ask some questions, to share their opinion, please. You are more than welcome.
The people are tired already.
Yeah, it's been a long session. Some of them are in the middle of the night.
And again, just as a reminder about some of the FIB questions you just had about like where the FIB is going for 2020 or 2021, on Monday at 1 p.m. Eastern Time through Instagram Live, norseca.rc. That's the Instagram account. I'll be hosting a session, a soul session with Fabio from FIVB. I will ask him some of these questions, and then we're going to open up for 15, 20 minutes so people can type in questions, and I'll select those questions and ask Fabio to answer. So as Laszlo just mentioned, everything is open. We're trying to get everything on the table. And it's just, I happen to have a long-term relationship with Fabio, and he agreed. All I said yes, he was in right away, and we were able to make this time. So again, you can come on, again, norseca.rc is the Instagram Live account. You can follow that. And then on 1 o'clock Eastern Time, 7 o'clock European time, or Lausanne time, Fabio will be there, and he will be taking questions.
And the video will be available next 24 hours, yes?
Yes, well, I found out how to do it, so now I think I can post it on IG Live TV. So I think it stays there a little longer right now. So
fine, it will be exciting.
Yes, Muhammad, you wanted to say something.
Hi. You guys hearing me, right? No, I just wanted to say thank you for inviting me to join this very interesting discussion. Not a referee, I'm not a referee coach, but I'm very happy to be part and to listen. I've been listening attentively throughout, and some really, really interesting questions that they were there. So.
And he's out. Okay. Any other questions, any other topics that you would like to answer? Thank you very much for joining us, everybody. I hope it was very educational. If you have any questions, any comments, if you'd like to hear more about this meetings, you can send me in private message on WhatsApp, and we can do some other meetings as well, or you'll find that I will upload. Here's Muhammad joining again. Wait, you're on mute. Yeah.
Am I there now again?
Yeah, you can talk.
Yeah, so no, I just, I think I ended, or I got cut off when I was saying that how happy I was to be part of it, and to also see some of my good friends, Guy and the others who are there. Some of the referees who I've worked with for a long, long, long while with. And Roy, even yourself, being part of our friendship and relationship as referees. Probably, I don't know, within the group, maybe the only non-referee person. I'm not too sure. But I'm happy to be here and always to be part of the team, and always be willing to share anytime you need my side of the story to contribute. So feel free.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for being with us and talking to us and giving your aid. Again, thank you very much for everybody to be here. I will upload as soon as possible this meeting to the recording to the Google Drive. I will add also the link to the Google Drive to our WhatsApp group. Have a safe weekend. Have a very nice weekend. Thank you again, Mr. Bradbury and Mr. Herpai, for your help. It was very educational. And God bless you all. Good night. Good morning, almost to somebody. Karen.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Everybody, take care. Happy whistling. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Goodbye,
Thank you
Jose.
very much.
See you. See
Good
you
night.
soon.
Good night.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Have a nice evening.